said, watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.
Yes. Yes, sir. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Die podcast. Man, my bad. I meant to unmute you. AJ, there we go. Boom. To the Trap or Die podcast. Sorry for the laughter. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Before the intro ended, I'm over here thinking like, it's not one of these shows are not easy to go through because it's like it was only one-sided, like it wasn't even close. It's hard to say anything good about what you just witnessed. But not only does that happen, you realize that you're in a situation where you can't afford to have these losses if you're now it's early enough in the season, but like the type of loss that you have, you can't afford to have these if you're Ron Rivera because it's not a good indication of a few things. And with that being said, I am your host of the Trap or Die podcast, Small Forest, man, in here with the post-game recap of the Buffalo Bills 37-3 ass whooping that they put on the Washington Commanders just a few minutes ago. I'm in here with AJ. I'm in here with Dre. Fellas,
Dre looked mad as hell. Like he
it looked like he took a nap during the game, bro. That's what it looked like.
Nah, I'm actually sick, bro. Like I ain't feeling too good. So I mean, the game it didn't help anything.
That's an afterthought.
Yeah,
damn, bro. So it's not looking too good for you. Like you powering through it to get on the show. I respect it. You know what I'm saying? But after you lose 37-3, I don't know if you should have even took the energy to do this.
Hey, why not? You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, shit. I feel better doing this than watching the game. Shit.
Hey man, I respect it, man. Before I check in with AJ, man, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you are just checking in for the first time, we definitely appreciate it. Hey man, like Kenny said, shout out to the guys. We appreciate you checking in, Kenny, man. We're gonna be here every win, every loss, man. No matter how ugly it get or no matter how great it is, even though we do prefer the other side where things are great. But yeah, Apple Podcast, follow, rate, review if you are just tapping in for the first time as well. If you haven't done so, we definitely appreciate the support. AJ, what's going on with you, player? You doing all right, man? Besides, what we just witnessed.
I'm cooling, man. If y'all can see who's on my shirt, y'all see who's on my shirt?
I see Rosa Parks. All right, what we got going on? What's the play here?
Rosa Parks. The Buffalo Bills told the Commanders to take their ass to the back of the bus.
Hey, bro. All right, let's get our one sentence takeaway going in. Peace, Crab. I see you. He says this one is on EB and Sam. Kenny, I wish it was next Sunday already against the Eagles. I think a lot of us feel that way, man. It's going to be a long week for everybody involved. Joe, appreciate you checking in. It's year 4, man. We still getting blown out against good teams. Peace Craft is on AB. Ran the run too early. All right, one sentence takeaway, fellas. AJ, I don't know if you're ready, but I'm gonna hand you the first baton, man. Where are you at? What's your one sentence takeaway?
I mean, like I just said, the Buffalo Bills told the Commanders to take their ass to the back of the bus.
Okay.
I guess it's on me because AJ said that's what we started.
Yeah, all right, go ahead, Jay.
Rosa Parks.
Hey, my one sentence takeaway: they were not ready.
There you go. All right. Can't keep falling down early and thinking it won't cost you. And let's start there then. Let's start there. We saw what happened against Arizona. At one point, obviously, Sam Howell fumbled a football that gave them I think early third quarter lead. Last week, you fall down 21-3 against the Denver Broncos, who, by the way, just got a 60 burger put up on their ass against the Miami Dolphins. And I think it's still like 5 minutes left to go in the game. But
70.
Wait, they scored again?
Yeah, they scored again. It was 70.
Hold on, bro.
A chain, I think, got a long touchdown. He
70
went crazy today.
to 20, bro. Oh, I'm looking at this young right. 5 minutes left to go, and bro, that's a college 70-20. Again, this week you fall down 16-0, and for a good quarter and a half, maybe even into the second half, where you knew you was getting the ball back in that first drive of the third quarter, you thought that there was still a puncher's chance that you can really revive how the narrative and how the flow of the game was going. I mean, you had to establish something on offense. You knew you had to get your defense off the field and keep them off the field for as long as you can. And again, 16-0. You have some good plays to come out of the second half. And sure, I'm already over first half. We're going to circle back to that, right? But to the point at which the game was still in reach, you still find a way to generate another, or excuse me, to find a way to turn the ball over yet again. I think with that Sam Howell interception. So with that being said, man, it was just an overall thorough ass whooping. And it's unfortunate from the sense of, you think that for the fourth year in a row that you can really find a solid ground with this team in terms of whether the offense is truly developing with a Ron Rivera-led team, right? You have a new coordinator, you have an offensive line that's kind of new, you have a quarterback that's clearly inexperienced, but then on the flip hand, you're like, if that's not going on, maybe the defense found some stability and they're still growing and they're underrated from a lot of people. And then Josh Allen comes in here and then tells you, hey man, you're not ready for me yet. I don't care how long I've been playing against Eric Bieniemy and how many trade secrets he can have to give Jack Del Rio, you're not ready for me yet. And the way he exploited that defensive line, the way he exploited that secondary, in unison with the receivers who already knew scramble drill, like I'm gonna make a play when he gets outside the pocket, and our cornerbacks weren't ready for that. Like there were so many things going on. Like this team showed you, I don't care what you think you are, you're not ready for us yet. You're not ready for anybody like us yet. That's kind of where I was at after watching the whole entirety of this game, fellas.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, man, seeing this Washington team and defense pretty much are the same guys that went against Buffalo Bills, maybe 2 years ago? It looked like the same exact defensive game plan, which they got their ass killed in that game too. I just feel like Jack Del Rio didn't have this defense prepared well enough to go against Josh Allen. I think that too many times he relies on the front four to get home, but you have to be innovative and creative in your ways of getting to the quarterback and providing pressure. And due to the fact that they weren't getting to the quarterback, they were killing the secondary with their zone coverage. Like, I don't know why they didn't play more man, but in the zone, the secondary didn't seem to have like the right type of communication that they needed to go against, the Buffalo Bills and what they had going on offensively. Off on the offensive side of the ball, I feel like, Eric Bieniemy called a okay game, but it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard when your quarterback keeps giving the ball away and giving the other team opportunities. I think one of the biggest knacks with Sam Howell has always been the fact that he locks in on one guy too many times and forces the ball there, and also playing in between the numbers. As you see, defenses are forcing him to play in between the numbers. They know that he likes the deep ball. You feel me? But in the NFL, the deep ball isn't always there like college football that you can scheme up. You watch like the Tennessee Volunteers in the college football side. They just dial up deep plays and deep routes all game. You can't do that in the NFL. You got to play in between the numbers and take what you have in front of you, and maybe you'll get a shot like you did last week with a Terry McLaurin in the end zone. But yeah, man, Sam Howell played a atrocious game. He looked bad. He looked like.
Not to mention, even that last drive before the game ended, bro. Like, I think they were at like 6 sacks on the game, and just after that final drive, it really. Now that's not all on Sam, but you just see how the quarterback himself is unsure of what he's seeing, in conjunction with the offensive line just finally breaking down like all the way. It was just a culmination of what exactly went on from the quarterback to the offensive performance altogether.
Yeah, because it was like in the first drive that they had offensively, you felt them catch a rhythm. Like you felt good about what was going on, and literally three consecutive plays, Sam ruined the entire drive by standing in the pocket too long. He took a sack, then he threw an interception. Like he literally ruined that whole drive. Like they were moving the ball, they were getting, successful yards or whatever. But Sam Howell, he just got in his own way, and it's crazy. There's a fan on Twitter by the name of Trell, big time UNC fan from Charlotte. He has a bet with me that Sam Howell wouldn't throw more than 7 interceptions on the year. Well, buddy, looks like you'll be paying me probably by next week because they play the Philadelphia Eagles and Hassan Reddick isn't slowing down. Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter is a beast already in the league. It's going to be hell for them next week. But, at the end of the day, Sam Howell got his ass kicked, and you could see it. You could see it on the field. I don't know what they do next. I think a lot of people will try to blame the offensive line, but I feel like the offensive line did well enough for him to be successful. I think a lot of the issues with the offense not catching rhythm and not being into a groove and being able to put points on the board was more so on Sam Howell. Even look at the red zone trip before he threw the incomplete pass. Like he just seemed he just was out of it, and then you just watch the coverage of the game. They keep telling you, yeah, Sam Howell's not the type of guy to make the same mistake twice. Well, he made 4 of them motherfuckers today. So yeah, let's stop acting like he's like some special guy to where he doesn't make mistakes. He's going to make mistakes. That's cool, but I just hate the narrative like, oh, he's the only guy out there that knows how to autocorrect. Nah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the issue offensively.
I don't know if my camera froze.
Nah, you still here? Probably lagged a little bit, but I know the audio got through. You good, Drake?
Yeah. No, I mean, offensively, you look at Sam Howell, and like AJ said, I mean, he had a bad game, but the issue, we've been talking about this since the beginning of the season. I think they're doing too much experimenting with Howell. I think they want to prove a point badly with Howell to say, hey, we're going to give you every opportunity to show you, if you are that guy in this league. But at the same time, I don't think that you need to hurt the rest of the team by forcing Sam to have to drop back and pass and get teed off on as much as he's, getting teed off on, because I mean, they went out there. I mean, he was getting sack. I'm like, get rid of the ball. But then, I mean, he holds on to the ball a lot, which has been an issue over some of these games, But then, you'll have moments with Sam. Like I said, he's still like a rookie, but you're going to have moments where he's going to do some good. I mean, but then what you want to minimize with Sam is how much bad is he going to give you? Because I felt like in the Cardinals game, there was more bad than good. Then, of course, there was the Denver game where he came out and it was like, oh, man, look what he just did to Denver. I mean, he had a lot of good, even though the early start was bad. But I'm still kind of looking at Eric Bieniemy to kind of get the run game going earlier in games. I mean, in this, I know a lot of fans keep saying that, hey, guys, I mean, it's not working or, it's not doing this. But it's actually not looking so bad. Like B-Rob, with the little bit of opportunities he gets, he looks pretty decent. I mean, I don't think he's looking like a league.
How many times do I gotta tell you?
That's
feed
what we've been talking
That was
about.
my key to the goddamn game Thursday. Feed
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Continue.
And in a game like this, especially with the weather conditions you had, you want to make this game ugly. And, I know you all kind of harped on the defense a bit, but, and I was kind of tough on the defense, especially in the Cardinals game. But this was a game I felt like the defense actually gave you a chance, but you just didn't have a chance offensively in this game. I mean, you couldn't score at all. I mean, it was like any little bit of rhythm they got, they were going to set themselves back at some point. And that's the issue. Like even that first drive, they had a rhythm going on the first drive. They're getting downfield. And then it was 3 straight dropbacks and 3 straight mistakes. You know, it's like you, and I think I don't know if they were in the red zone or they were close to the red zone at that point, but I know they were close to scoring. But it was 3 straight dropbacks, 3 straight mistakes by Sam Howell. And that's the part where I'm like, you can help him out a little bit by mixing that up in a sense. Like, okay, he just had a couple of passes completed in a row. Cool. You know, but mix it up now. Get some of those guys going. And then that's when you lose momentum in the game. And then the turnovers. I mean, this is, like I said, Sam Howell, I'm not too angry with him, you know, but then again, like I said, I didn't have these high expectations of Sam going into the season that a lot of people did, you know, so I kind of look at him as a rookie, and I know that as a rookie, he's going to make those type of mistakes in games, and, you know, but you got to minimize those turnovers, and you do have to help him out. But again, defensively, like I said, I think they did have a good, you know, they gave the team a chance to win. You know, they were down, 16-0 going into the fourth quarter. I mean, obviously there's plays. Yeah, I mean, there's plays like with Josh Allen that piss you off, you know, when he's getting out of the, you know, sacks, or he's just running, you know. But again, you know, a good offense makes this a better game. And that's why I just feel like ultimately, I mean, it was a shit show altogether, but offensively, you just couldn't sustain anything. You never had a chance, really.
Here's Ron Rivera post game. I haven't heard what he said, but it's 30 seconds of a quote that he mentioned, so we'll hear it all for the first time together. But here's what he said post game about the offensive line, the offense, and turnovers all together. Let me present my screen and let's do. Is it this one? Or is it this one? Here we go. Okay, here we go.
Opportunities. I mean, that's the bottom line. First of all, you can't turn the ball over, which we did. And if you lose the turnover battle like that, you're going to get beat. That's the truth.
How did you feel Sam handled?
Well, I thought he handled some of the moments pretty well. I thought there was other ones that he probably could have done something different. We're going to get an opportunity to evaluate everything, evaluate what we're doing, make sure it's the right thing first and foremost, and the second, we'll evaluate how we thought the players did. Opportunity.
So that was Rivera immediately after speaking on the offense, and and Sam Howell. Finley mentioned offensive line specifically, how he's going to evaluate them. I mean, obviously, Andrew Wiley, for all of the conversation about the tackles, everybody had his problems up front. Personally, I felt interior and on the right side. Speaking right tackle, I would have to look at the all 22, and we're not talking about just the sacks allowed, just the overall pressure that Sam Howell was facing throughout the day. Obviously, Andrew Wiley had his moments where he's getting just purely beat off speed by Leonard Floyd. But like, again, when it comes to what you're seeing offensively, they're going to have to find some answers. And you mentioned it, Dre, to an extent. You don't think that Bieniemy really helped out Howell. I think, for just to piggyback on a quick second, quickly, yeah, the Brian Robinson just running the ball conversation is important. But what's even scarier when you think about being able to run the football with these guys, part of that equation is going to include Antonio Gibson. And when he fumbles and continuously fumbles the way he does, like, you can't even trust him anymore. This is 2 times in 2 weeks. No, I'm sorry. He didn't fumble last
season. Yeah,
he fumbled against Arizona, but 2 times in 3 games. And that's a rate that you don't want to happen as the season moves along. So while they were saying they can trust him after they win a game against the Arizona Cardinals, you're already losing and you're kind of out of it by the time he fumbles this week, but it doesn't matter. Like, you see some of the same issues when he's trying to move the ball in open space and he exposes it to the defense. And my reason of saying that is, and going back to what Bieniemy's trying to do, who are you going to start turning to really establish this ground game? Brian Robinson is somebody that I trust, and we've talked about on this show. And you see how the offensive line, if you can find them something that works in the ground game, they'll be able to, and you stick to it and just show that, all right, I believe in this pass first offense, but I also think that if this is working this week, I'm going to run the hell out of Brian Robinson, and I'm going to make sure that he gets. Matter of fact, what did he end with? He had, I believe he had 70 yards on 10 carries, and all of those were legit yards, except for, I guess, the one at the end of the first half. But either way, point being, like, he was really toting today. And I just think for Washington, if you're going to have this leak offensively at random times, but on a weekly basis, like on random times of the offensive line or maybe even the interior, you need to find a way to transition your offense into something that is more sustainable. And does that look like you need to be a run first offense again? I'm not saying that, but Sam Howell just in that offensive line is just not working right now. So what are your answers? That's a long way to say what are your possible answers, because you got 13 or 14 games left in this season.
Remember, I mean, real quick, remember in, what was it, 2019, I think Dwayne Haskins' rookie year, after Jay Gruden got fired, Bill Callahan came in and he pretty much made them, make games ugly. He said, all right, Dwayne's not really ready to come in and pass 40 times a game, so I'm going to help him out, and I'm going to, make this a heavy run offense. Now, the games weren't pretty, but they were able to stay in games and be competitive in those games that Dwayne Howard was starting. Now, I'm not saying you have to go full on Bill Callahan with this offense right now, but you still want to get guys like Jamal. 10 carries, 70 yards. I mean, that's 7 yards a carry. I mean, you'll take that from your back any day, regardless of whether you feel EB doesn't like the backs or whatever the case. That's efficiency. So you want to use that. You want to use more of that. Again, that doesn't mean we're going to go full heavy run game, but we shouldn't be expecting Sam Howell to go out there and drop back 40 times and this be a successful team. Because if you look at this roster, a lot of these guys on this team are kind of ready to win right now, but you're still looking at that quarterback position right now, and you're saying, hey, we're experimenting because Sam, we still don't know if he's a long-term guy. So with that question mark, you don't want to go out there and put everything on Sam's shoulders with this team right now.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Sam Howell, like, he is what he is. Like, knew there would be some bumps in the road or whatever. I think last week a lot of people felt even better about him because of several passes that he made that they haven't seen from, quarterbacks over the years within this franchise. And I understand them. When you got to watch bum-ass Taylor Heineke for 2 seasons and you got to watch Carson Wentz, it looks different when you have a guy with more zip on the ball or whatever. But I don't know. I really don't have a problem with the play calling per se. I just think that they got a quarterback that can't necessarily create out of the pocket and play within the circumstances of maybe your left tackle, your right tackle is going to get beat quite often by whoever they're going against. They just don't have that type of guy. And I'm not sure if he'll ever get that clock running in his head that this is no longer UNC. You got to get the ball out. You got to trust what's in front of you. You got to trust your eyes. That's been my main issue with Sam Howell before even this season. Like, coming in when it was anticipated that he was going to be the starter, I always had an issue with him playing in between the numbers. Brian Robinson looked good today. I think Woody probably finished the game with close to 80 yards.
70 on 10 carries.
Yeah, so I feel like we all watched the game, man. It was in the game most of the time. It's just that Sam just kept fucking up along the way. You feel me? Like, we're never going to have an all-pro offensive line. That's just not the case in the NFL. So guys are going to get beat. It's what your quarterbacks can do in spite of those circumstances. And when you have a guy that's either just going to stand in the pocket or try to do too much, it makes it hard. And like you said, Maul, when your second running back keeps coughing up the ball, what do you do? Because B-Rob is going to need a breather at some point. You feel me? Like, do you really want Rodriguez to be your—
That's what I'm about to say. Like, you take out diverse. Like, I don't have a problem with giving Rodriguez some snaps, but it's like, if you think about how you're going to implement them, the only person you can really think of is taking snaps away from Gibson. And by nature, Gibson is a versatile player. You just don't trust him with the football in his hands. And that's a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing because people, the teams that they go against, they don't even try to tackle him. They tackle the ball because it's so loose every time he has the ball. And that's why it's even interesting to me that he is the kick returner for this team. Like, it's just weird. But I mean, overall, I kind of expected this going into the game because I wasn't sure that I seen Sam Howell manipulating defenses with his eyes so much. I also didn't feel like he could overcome the fact that the Buffalo Bills played disciplined defense. Like, they stayed in their zone pretty much all game and was like, Sam, beat us. And he couldn't. Leonard Floyd, he may not be top tier as he once was, but he's still a serviceable pass rush end.
You doing him? He a dog. He a dog for sure.
Yeah, like you line him up,
especially comparing against Wiley.
Yeah. Can you imagine if the Bills had Von Miller today? Oh my God!
I saw that tweet. I saw what you said. I was like, Ryan ain't think about that. I swear to God, I didn't.
Today, Sam Howell probably would have died at FedEx Field today, like, because there is no way that anyone was going to stop him. But you know, it is what it is. I'm not really upset about the loss. I expected it. Once again, go ahead. Once again, Ron Rivera doesn't have his team prepared to go against top tier teams, and they go. I don't know any of the scores from earlier today, but they play the Eagles next week, and then they play the Falcons, who I believe are undefeated. Still,
no, Falcons lost to Detroit, didn't they? Or did they come back and win?
I'm not sure.
I
didn't because I'm even out.
I know they were trailing.
Because I know Detroit was winning most of the game. But no, I mean, and I wanted to ask you all this question. I mean, since we fresh off this game, because we fresh off this game because last week, you know, we were talking about this being the measuring stick game. And I had said that, you know, if we lose this game, I'm not going to be upset because I know the Bills are a good team and they're a better team than us. Let's face it. But I wanted to look
because you was upset as hell when we started this damn.
Well, I mean, I'm doped up right now too. I got a bunch of medicine in me. So, but no, I mean, so would it been a measuring stick game? You know, we kind of expected this to be a competitive game in a sense. You know, especially we looked to Sam Howell to say, hey, all right, now what are you going to do week 3 against the Bills? I mean, does this game concern you all going forward that maybe now the defensive coordinators are getting tape on Sam Howell that we might see a lot more rough times like this? Like, does this worry you all going forward after this game?
For me, I would. So I think to even start right. So I want to get to the defense too, bro. Like, there's something I don't disagree with what you said, Peacecraft. Generally speaking, like, you can't really put this on the defense, but I'm gonna talk to you about the defense, bro. But when it comes to like the offensive side of things, game planning is obviously, especially when you accumulate more games, it's going to kind of like the book is going to become like you're going to start seeing words in it, and people are going to start finishing sentences, and you're going to get to like page 223, which is almost at the end of it. And like that book is almost going to be completely written on Sam Howell. And at this point, like they're halfway through the book. And the way that these coordinators are really driving and dialing everything up, like the biggest thing in the preseason and even in training camp was that when you see like these structures in the preseason and you see these structures in training camp, like that is kind of relative to what your defense is going to call. But in preseason, when you see other teams, like those are simple shell coverages or simple man coverages, and those are things that you can't really account for. So when you go into the regular season and you start seeing these structures that are a little bit more aggressive or a little bit more passive, but they dial it up or they disguise it well, and like they have these principles that look like man, but they're zone or vice versa, and all these other things. And like what I'm saying is all that information that is being fed into Sam Howell are new looks for him, but it's also like, what is your coordinator going to do to help you? And it's not like a play call standpoint, right? It's like, how do I help him in game planning and preparation that like, if you're starting to see this, like, how can he retain the information? And that's only part of the battle. Cause then you have to ask, can he do this on a daily basis or on a weekly basis when he drops back? Right. And right now it's still like as bad as it got today, it's still too early to tell if he can turn things around or not. I just don't agree with the fact that, and I said this during the game and AJ hinted to it as well. I don't agree with the fact that they stand on this thing that kind of upsets me because it's like it gets repeated by the fan base and people in the public and even media outlets and reporters and like saying this thing that he doesn't make the same mistake twice. But we're in week 3, and even in the preseason, we've seen him hold the ball way too long every single game on occasions, and that is something that can hurt you from a standpoint of like now. Like he's aware that he's holding the ball too long, but now he just thinks I have to throw it somewhere. And one of those plays in this game almost resulted in an interception where he just had to get rid of the football. So for me, and that was the red zone play where he sent some pressure. And Brian Robinson had a one-on-one with the linebacker. He just threw it. But to that point, I think it's still too early. But at the same time, I just don't agree with the fact that people have this notion that he doesn't make the same mistake twice. You have to get past that and recognize that, accept it. And now you have to transition to, can Eric Bieniemy and Sam Howell find answers together? And that's what it comes down to moving forward. And if you sit here and think that it's just going to be okay, you're not really facing the music right now. I'm not saying it's over or anything, but I'm just saying accept reality and see how they can push past this, because that's going to be the most important thing moving forward.
And Dre, what was your question again? Remember?
No, I was asking, are we worried going forward after this type of performance? Like I said, I wouldn't have been upset, so to speak, if you're competitive. And Sam, look, he has an okay game, but he didn't have an okay game. He had an atrocious game against a smart defense that game plans. And I think about a guy like Sean McDermott, who, he knows Ron Rivera, and he's good at he's a hell of a defensive coordinator as well as a head coach. And you see Sam run into this type of defense and this game planner, and this is an atrocious performance. Are we discouraged going forward with Sam is my question.
I mean, for me, this is what I seen on tape from Sam at UNC. You feel me? And it's weird for us to have to sit back and be like, he's not familiar with seeing like these type of coverages. It's like, what the hell was going on at UNC? And then you also start to think back, why did Sam Howell have so many rush attempts in college? And it was because they were saving him from having to read defenses. Like, he is not Michael Vick. He is not Lamar Jackson. He is not Cam Newton. There is no reason that he should have had as many rush attempts in college that he did. But it was because of the struggles of reading coverages and playing in between the middle of the field. I mean, for me, I feel like this team is prepared to draft a quarterback next year anyways. I think you just gotta live with what it is. Today was a wake-up call for the fan base, for them to realize that this team really is far away from being one of those elite teams that is considered in the NFL, such as the Buffalo Bills, the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, they could possibly sneak away with games against, the Cardinals and the Broncos. But when it comes to playing top-tier teams, they're not there yet. And that comes from the standpoint of coaching and, on top of that, quarterback play. You just got to let it play out. But overall, I felt like this game – I know, Dre, you had said, like, this game could mean a lot. Yeah, but it meant a lot in the opposite way. You learn more about this Ron Rivera coach team, and you realize that they're just not there yet. So back down in the power rankings.
That's funny. Hey, so I said I want to talk about the defense right quick. Let's actually, special teams is gonna be easy because they didn't do anything all day. Shout out to Joey Slye. He said the least we can do is get you 3 points, Ron. Since the offense ain't doing nothing, I get you 3 points on the board. They almost actually,
Jameson
they did.
They punted the ball.
Yeah, I think they got 1 or 2 punts off, okay. And I don't think Jameson fielded any of them. But Tress, I was gonna say Tress got a couple of them off, but he actually almost had 1 of them or 2 of them blocked. So if there's something to talk about, there it is on special teams. Defensively, I thought there was several moments in that game, especially obviously in that first half, where the defense rose to the occasion when they could. Now, granted, I think when you look at how Josh Allen was able to take over this game, he only had 3 carries on the day. He had 3 carries for 46 yards. His first 2 were over 20 yards a carry. And that last one was obviously the scramble for the touchdown. You saw the difference he makes in the pocket. He wasn't easy to bring down for Cam Curl, who was obviously a size mismatch, but then he wasn't easy to bring down for some of the defensive linemen who was getting home on Josh Allen to some extent. And he was able to elude them as well, making plays outside the pocket, and then making plays with his legs, converting on third downs to extend drives. And then you look at the defensive line for Washington altogether. We're talking about a team who came in tied for first in the league in sacks. And they were top 5 in pressure rate. They were top 5 in sack rate. That is a team who came away with 0 sacks on the day against Josh Allen. And I mean, honestly, it made their days longer, but also like even that interception with Kendall Fuller, he made a play, but like that one was just it felt like a throwaway from Josh Allen. Like he's just throwing that joint out there. Yeah, he's just throwing that shit out there. So it's like how, and not to mention, we're talking about the pass game right now. They officially found their groove in the ground game too with Cook. And sure, the game was running away from Buffalo at some point, right? From Washington. They ended up with 168 yards on the day. The Buffalo Bills did 5 yards to carry, 2 touchdowns on the ground. But this is a team who people thought they weren't threatened by the ground game, and James Cook really got some things going for them on that side of the football. So when we're talking about a team who did what they could to keep their offense and their team overall in the game, that defense really had some holes in some various occasions. Like that time of possession was something where you look at it and you're like, all right, well, Washington really, like 34-25 was the TOP, damn near 10 more minutes than Washington. They really had their way, Buffalo Bills did, on the offense side of the football. Like that's how thorough of a game it was.
Yeah, I mean, defensively,
9-15 on third down, by the way, too. You got it, Dre.
And I forgot which record they said was ended for us during that game with the third down conversions for Buffalo. But I mean, yeah, again, like I said, I thought they gave you a chance, throughout most of the game. Of course, there was some things that piss you off. Like, of course, you're not finishing those sacks. I mean, I think Chase missed the sack. Like you said, Cam Curl, he came in and he missed the sack. At one point, Cam Curl also probably mistimed this jump on the interception he should have had in the game too. But that's been my overall issue with the defense, is just not creating enough plays. Like you're not making enough turnover plays or impacting game plays, and you just seen that throughout the day. You felt like at least with us, we've been talking about Josh Allen. Josh Allen's going to give you chances in a game to make turnovers. I mean, he gave us a couple of chances today, but we just didn't capitalize on it. I mean, and that hurts, especially when your offense just can't get anything going. You want them, they're doing the best they can to help out the offense and the team. But, you want to see this defense, especially being the strength that they're supposed to be, take it up another level, in games like this, especially against an opponent like this. But, you got to finish those sacks. We talk about this too much. That again, we should not be going any game with it. That front four cannot generate a sack at all. I mean, that front four is supposed to be your bread and butter. And I got my issues with Jack Del Rio as well. I'm like, man, he relies too much on the front four, and I get it. I mean, everyone on that front four is talented as hell, but I do think he relies too much on them from time to time. And you can just get into a bend but don't break defense at that point. So, I mean, yeah, defensively, like I said, they had their issues, but again, I've seen, worse days from them. Today was fine as far as like giving them a chance. You could
lose 70-20.
Yeah. I mean, it just fell apart.
We played them this year.
Yes, we do. We played them this year.
With the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, we played the whole AFC East this year.
We played them this year.
In Miami or in Washington?
It don't even matter, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's here. Yeah.
Hey,
oh
man.
my God. I said that. Forgot we played
if they're gonna play zone like how they did today, Tyreek Hill might go for 500 yards receiving.
I mean, two are gonna set it out there for him too, man.
Right. It is.
We got him at home right before the bye week.
It is storming so bad over here. I'm getting scared as fuck.
Yeah, AJ, you ain't never been in a thunderstorm before?
Nah, dog. This joint, it's like as soon as I mentioned Taylor Heineke, it went from a sunny day to just like I don't even know where the hell I'm at right now. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah, you brought up the wrong name, brother. That's what
But
you
yeah,
did.
when it comes to this defense, man, I just want to see Jack Del Rio evolve as a defensive play caller and game planner. That's my issue with Jack Del Rio. I feel like too many times the game plan is stagnant. He relies on that front four way too much. I didn't see Jamin Davis used the way that I would have liked him to be used if I were the one making the decisions. I wanted to see him blitz more because I came into this game saying Josh Allen is a more mobile Eli Manning, meaning he'd take you on a roller coaster, but he'll also give you opportunities to make play on the ball and make some turnovers. You didn't really see him phase all game. He was comfortable. He was chilling because even on like loop stunts, whatever, he was still able to get out the pocket. There wasn't nobody from the secondary blitzing him. Nothing. There was no linebackers coming after him, threatening him for real to hurry up and make a decision. He was just cool. He just got to kick back and relax. He was on the beach out there against the defense. Yeah, man, it's just, I don't know. I just keep thinking about next week they play the Philadelphia Eagles. That's all I keep thinking about.
Yeah. At the end of the day, bro, like I think even with all the things that we said, and we'll transition and have our thoughts a little bit further on Tuesday. 37-3 is a terrible loss, but I think that the best thing to really see the true makeup of this team is understanding how they bounce back from a 37-3 beatdown. I think what's in their favor, and this isn't optimism, just like realistic football talking, like we just got our ass whooped, right? But I think realistically, you're coming off a loss where you got embarrassed at home and you were down 37-0 with literally less than a minute to play. And you're going on the road in an environment that's hostile. We all know that, but you're going up against a familiar opponent. And you're going up against a team where it wasn't pretty at home, but you were able to really show that you're capable of competing with them. Sure, they shot their shot. Like, that's the nuance of the game. It is what it is. But you showed that you can win in Philly last year, just a year ago, with some of the same guys that you have on that on the team right now. For Washington and their perspective, they know that this game is ugly and it's as ugly as it's going to get on the offense. But how do you bounce back immediately after getting embarrassed like that? I'm not giving an answer here. I'm not giving a prediction here. I just know, like, when you go against these, when you have these situations, like, you're going to get somebody's best effort after you get your ass whooped like this. So, like, what does their best effort look like? And that's what I'm interested in seeing moving forward. Sam Howell, we talked about him for at least 20, 30 minutes already on the show. You're going to see how he bounces back, if he can bounce back, and what does it look like, to what level. And you're going to see Eric Bieniemy, like, how is he going to be able to make his adjustments for the offense, whether it's through pass protection, whether it's through helping Sam Howell out, whether it's through getting Brian Robinson more involved, or even trying to find a way to get Chris Rodriguez more involved. Like, you're going to see these things. And even obviously with the defense, we know what the challenges they're facing up against. That offense is still high potent. DeAndre Swift had a breakout game last week. What was that, Monday night or Thursday night? I can't remember. But he broke out. So you know your hands is going to be full. Like, how are you going to be able to keep up next week against the Philadelphia Eagles? I think that's probably the brightest spot here, is like seeing how do you all bounce back in a situation where you just got your ass whooped in a game that really felt like they was at Orchard Park, bro. That shit was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. Yeah, they got their ass beat overall. It's just interesting. Like, if you watch the game, Washington was in the game most of the way. They just couldn't score. Like,
yeah, 2 red zone trips.
I would ask you guys. I mean, yeah, it's easy to look back on hindsight, but on that 4th down play in the red zone, what was that, first quarter?
I already know what you're talking about. It was a long 2 yards, bro. Yes, I would have kicked the field goal.
Okay.
I would have kicked it. I would have kicked that shit.
Because
That was a long 2 yards, bro.
I think it was still 13-0 at that point, wasn't it?
It was either 10-0 or 13.
Yeah. I mean, you were in the game. Like, you put points on the board, you're right back in the game. I mean,
I think it was 10-0. I believe it was 10-0.
Yeah,
I can tell you. But it was definitely. I think it was 10. Where's the turnover on downs? Oh yeah, it was 10-0.
Hey, how about the Cardinals smacking the Cowboys around, man?
I would have done it, man. But we gonna see, bro. Any last thoughts? Oh, MVPs. What's dude name, bro? What's dude name? Terrell.
The clock of the game ending was the MVP.
Nah. I do all.
So we ain't doing that.
Yeah, Terrell Bernard, bro. He gotta get his credit, bro. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no MVPs on the Commander side of the hell no.
I didn't know you want to give MVPs for the Buffalo side.
Look, man, they the one. He took the game over, bro. I mean, you right. I guess I shouldn't make that a trend. But yeah, man, there's no MVPs on the Washington side, man. So we're gonna leave it quiet there. Fellas, any last thoughts before we get up out of here?
Well, I mean, my last thought is you're right. There's no MVPs, but if we were forced to do one, I am going to say Brian Robinson would be the one. I mean, a lot of things were out of his control, but I did.
You know what? I'm gonna give it to him too.
Yeah, I mean, for the opportunities he got, he made the most of them. He didn't get many, but he did make the most of his opportunities. But hell, man, that game, I'm just glad it's over. Like, I'm with AJ.
I'm about to make that Brian Robinson. That's gonna be my key, bro. That's it.
But look, I'm with AJ too, though, man. Like, the real MVP was the clock ended for that damn game. That was it.
Yeah. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for us, fellas. Dre, AJ, y'all be safe, man. Hey, everybody that checked in, appreciate y'all watching, listening live, all that good stuff. Fellas, be back Tuesday to tap into this game a little bit more. Probably try to get a guest on because we can't talk too much about this game that much. So we'll tap in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Y'all boys be safe and all that good stuff. Peace.
Yes, sir.